Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Not Aspirational. I'm your host, Hannah Aaron Brown. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we are in the bed. So that's when you know the vibes are going to be really good. I'm reaching without trying to move because I want to stay in the center of the frame. A 0% Peroni. I'm not going to lie. It's Tuesday, almost 5 o'clock. I normally record on Mondays. I've been procrastinating like a motherfucker this week, and I think it's because the weather in SoCal is so gorgeous right now. All I want to do is be in a beer garden drinking, and I try to avoid doing that during the week, both because I want to be a healthy person, also because I have shit to do, also for financial reasons. So I'm drinking this non-alcoholic Peroni in the bed while I record. Cheers to that. So today's episode is all about manifestation, but because I'm me, we have some other business to get into first. First of all, I guested on Bravo, We're Black, and I also guested on Who Asked Me, and I talked about Summer House, I talked about Bravo, I talked about White Lotus, I talked about a little bit of everything. So make sure to check those out. I had such a blast doing those appearances. And I'll link them in the show notes for you. Also, if you're in LA, I have a show on April 20th at Haha Comedy Club, a stand-up show. Should be really fucking fun. Okay. Other things that I have to get into. Huge news in the hot girl community. I found the perfect pair of leggings, and I need to get this message out there by all means, any and all means necessary. The Athleta Elation leggings have solved not all of my life problems, but a lot of them, okay? They are these 7/8 Elation super high-waisted legging. They are so comfortable, buttery soft, hold you in. Hello, supermodel. You can run in them, and I know because I did run in them for like an hour. They did not move. They did not roll down. They did not cut into me weird. They have different lengths, regular, petite, and tall. They also have sizes extra small through 3X, okay? So this is important. Everyone can get in on this action. This is not an ad. You will know when I start running ads, and I hope that someday I do, but this is just out of the goodness of my heart and because I know from personal experience that finding good leggings is such a troll. And I said previous weeks that I'm ready to step into a workout wardrobe, an everyday wardrobe that actually fits me right and that feels good. And those leggings are the first thing I bought in a while where I was like, damn, wow, whoa, girl, fuck, wow, oh my God. That's a Britney impression. If you know, you know. Britney Spears, not Britney Cartwright. It's the first thing I bought in a while, though, where I'm like, wow, this really solved a problem for me. So I have to share it with the masses, linking those leggings in the show notes for you as well. And yeah. Okay, other things. Oh my gosh. If you are in need of something to watch, there is a new show on Hulu called Good American Family, I believe, starring Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass. And I watched it thinking it was just going to be some like Lifetime-esque family drama, and it is, but it's about Natalia Grace, which I did not know. I watched the documentary, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace on Max last year, which is fully insane, and I highly recommend it. I didn't realize this was like a scripted drama based on that case. Oh my God, it is so unintentionally funny. And it's just, I was raised on Lifetime, so I love like a melodrama where someone's like, you little bitch, family drama and all that. And, you know, I love An Evil Child. I mean, I loved the movie The Good Son growing up. I love The Omen. I love An Evil Child because, ooh, I get so mad. I'm like, you little fucker. No one suspects that you're evil. And you are. Like this Natalia Grace girl in this show is like, hi, mommy. And she like wakes up in the night with like a little knife. And I'm like, oh my God. But not like a little knife, like a knife that could kill someone. And it's like, oh my God. And it's like a train wreck, but I can't look away. The writing, respectfully, questionable. Acting, respectfully, questionable. Like, you have these like amazing actors, Mark Duplass and Ellen Pompeo, doing this show that feels like it's from Lifetime. And I'm living for it. I binged 2 episodes in a row last night. I'm eating my little rice cake dessert with my hair in my heatless curls, like drinking my water, living my best fucking life. Jake was out for the night, was cozied up on the couch watching this show, and I was invested. So if you're like me and you feel like there's been a famine of TV, get into this show. But just know, like, do not take it seriously. Like, we are having fun with this show. We're making fun of it. We're having a good time. Obviously, it's a very dark and crazy story. And for that reason, we have to make fun of it. Maybe that sounds mean. I don't know. You guys, after what happened to me last week, I wasn't sure if I was going to touch on this because I don't want to poke the bear, but here we go. Let's dive in. After last week, I'm questioning if I'm a nice person. You know, I'm the one that has to go to bed at night with my thoughts and my reflections on my own behavior in this world. And I've grown a lot, and I'm growing in real time, and I'm growing and I'm changing. I'm very interested in my own self-improvement. That's something that makes me tick. And I think if you've followed me for a while, I hope that you can tell that about me because I'm very open and honest about that. I've said some really fucking stupid shit. I've said some stupid shit on this podcast that I've apologized for. I am constantly, as Ramona would say, I'm a work in progress, okay? I did not think that I would get dragged on the internet for dragging West Wilson. I have to be so for real with you when I say I didn't think that would be the thing that I was apologizing for, like in earnest, but wow. Whoa, girl. Wow. Fuck. Oh, my God. People were pissed about my rant about West Wilson in Chicago. I've spoken with West Wilson directly. I've apologized. It's okay. It's water under the bridge. But I will say the internalized misogyny in the Bravo fans runs deep because it's not like I'm pissed off in a vacuum. I'm having an emotional response to behavior that a man is exhibiting on a TV show that I watch and in a video that I saw. Did I have all the context? No. Did I feel that I needed it? Not really. Not really, in the words of Luann. So I thought this was a tongue-in-cheek rant. People are so mad at me. They're like, you're not even from Chicago. They're like, I've been told that my video was poisonous. I've been told to throw away my podcast equipment, that Chicago does not want me. And that's just, we're merely scratching the surface. So yeah, I just think it's really interesting how the second a woman gets emotional, it's like, whoa, you're being aggressive. Whoa, you're so mean. You're so mean. I would argue what's mean is calling strangers weird. I would argue what's mean is getting in Sierra's pants and then ghosting her. And this episode comes out Wednesday, and I'm seeing some clips from tonight's episode floating around, and I just think everyone should watch and then report back to me. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, my goal is never to cause someone emotional distress. I never want to be a bully. I've been bullied throughout my life. So sometimes when my snark does go too far, when my sass goes too far, I do need to be checked. Both things can be true at once. But I will say, I think the comment section on TikTok, not just in reference to that video that I put up, but in general, has the energy of a girl at a sleepover when you're growing up who's like, you can't use my brush because you might have lice. Like, the nitpickiness of the TikTok comment section is fucking out of control. We have lost the plot. The shit that people get upset about and the degree to which they get upset is fucking bananas. It's cuckoo bananas crazy. And I don't want to be one of those people that's like, go touch grass, because I think that phrase is also annoying. But I will say, I think we've lost the plot. I don't understand. It's like, oof, you're so angry. I don't understand where the level of rage comes from. And the nitpickiness and the things that people get upset about is, I can't understand it. I don't understand if and how these people have friends, if they have hobbies, jobs, sex lives, social lives. I don't understand how a normal functioning human could get this upset about some of the shit they get upset about. I saw this girl post a video. Forgive me if I've already talked about this, but it really stuck with me because it was like truly insane. This girl posted a video being like, are sneakers in or out? I don't know what sneakers are cool these days, and I want to know what sneakers, I should get for spring. Everyone in the comments is like, be an individual. Why do you want to follow the trends? And I'm like, oh my God, This girl's literally just walking to Pilates being like, sneaker wrecks, and people are fucking ripping her apart, making these insane overarching judgments about her character. Now, in my case with West Wilson, you could argue, Hannah, you were pretty fucking harsh. Okay, fine. I thought I was funny, but if you thought I was harsh, that's your prerogative. I'm not going off of one TikTok video. I'm going off of interviews I've seen and episodes of a television show that I watch where no one was forcing Wes to act a certain way. That is his behavior that he chose to exhibit on a show that is a national television show that I consume. So I would argue to make an overarching judgment about my character based off of one TikTok in comparison to me making a judgment off this young man's character based on lots of different pieces of evidence that I've seen that I did not like, that did not make me feel good. One of these things is not like the other, but people hate women, period. So that's that on that. Let's see. We've gotten too nitpicky as a species. I'm just looking at my notes here. Overall, the energy in the comments is like the girl who won't let you use her hairbrush at a sleepover because you might have lice. That's true. Yeah, every time I go viral, I'm almost sent to the psych ward. Every fucking time. And I'm having an emotional response to a man's repeatedly not great behavior towards women, but I'm the bully. And this is why, you know what? This is why I have no interest in befriending people on Bravo. I've had people on my show with a following. The ROI is not there, I will say. I'm still podcasting from bed. I'm not in a studio. Having famous people on your show, I don't know, historically has not done a ton for me. And if anything, it has made me like Icarus. And I don't wish to fly too close to the sun. I don't. I want to be able to say what I want and say it with my whole chest. And if I have to be held accountable for something I said, fine. But I do stand by the fact that I think some of West's behavior is unbecoming. And I hope that he is okay. I don't wish harm on anyone. But not impressed with what I've seen lately. Not impressed with what I've seen. And, you know, as the season goes on, we'll see if people come back to my comments, like I said, apologizing, because sometimes you get to know someone better and you realize you were wrong. That could be the case. Other times you get to know them and they're like the underbelly of a straw in a Stanley cup that hasn't been tended to. And if you know, you know. So time will tell. Now, let's get into manifestation, you all. So I'm going to give you a little recap of my manifestation journey, and then I'm going to give some practical tips that you can fold into your manifestation journey if they resonate. So I want to give some context. I used to be a highly negative person. Dead ass, one of my limiting beliefs was I just don't get stuff. That is something I told myself over and over and over again. That meant I don't get the guy. That meant I don't get the job. That meant I don't get the nice family that gets along. I don't get the nice house. I don't get the good clothes. I genuinely just thought that I was not to be the recipient of anything good, of anything that I wanted. And I grew up in a very chaotic household. I did not grow up around healthy relationships. I kind of always felt like the underdog. I grew up with a lot of financial scarcity. I grew up with a lot of social anxiety. I was made fun of a lot. I was never a shoo-in for the plays or the musicals. So I just kind of like eventually adopted this limiting belief that like I was not to be the recipient of things that I wanted. So in COVID, I kind of realized that especially like after my mom passed away and throughout my 20s, my coping mechanism subconsciously was to just be going, staying busy and staying occupied and stimulated so that I didn't have to sit with my thoughts, sit with my feelings, and peel back the layers of why I was the way I was and maybe areas where I needed to do the work to grow. So in my 20s, that looked like working in hospitality, so working late, then going out after work, staying out late. Like there were literally shifts where I would stay out and then work brunch the next day, like still drunk, hooking up with guys nonstop who literally did not care if I lived or died, investing in friendships that weren't healthy for me, and avoiding therapy at all costs. So shortly before the pandemic, I had started therapy. I'd been in therapy a little under a year by the time the pandemic started, but I still was finding myself like the second I was forced to be still, I was having a lot of anxiety come up. And I kind of touched on this when I brought my show back, like that as I was doing my podcast the first time around, I had a lot of anxiety coming up around like, who was I? And I was feeling really insecure. And the second someone said something negative to me, it would really rock my world and make me question my entire self. So I was on Instagram and I started seeing like astrology accounts, tarot accounts. Like I got into kind of woo-woo stuff because, especially in COVID, like we all kind of needed something to ground us and something to believe in. And even though I was raised Jewish, I feel like spiritually, I mean, that's a whole other episode, like religious identity that I'm not really in the mood to get into right now. But I never felt like I could fully tap into my spirituality. So through like woo-woo Instagram, I started getting really into astrology, spirituality, things like angel numbers, things like tarot. And then I started seeing like manifestation videos. And I got a birth chart reading with Lexi Wilson. I will link her in the show notes. She's amazing in 2020. And she explained my birth chart to me. And that was a really illuminating experience because it validated things that I always felt and that I always felt like I had to fight against. And it was so just like affirming to have someone be like, no, 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 like this is how you process things. This is how you do things. This is how you're going to find abundance. This is literally written in your chart. So instead of feeling like it was, certain parts of me were wrong or something that needed fixing, I was like, okay, cool. Now I have something to go off of. Now I have like a game plan of how I can find abundance. So that was sort of my first like toe dipping into the woo-woo world. And then I heard of something called To Be Magnetic, which is a manifestation workshop that you can do online. And actually, you know what? Going back, earliest forms of manifestation that I was doing without realizing was I was always very into visualization as a kid. I would listen to music every night before bed and just picture like things I wanted to have happen to me. And I would do it at sleepovers with my friends too. Shout out to Anna. We did it together all the time. And I would just like picture things that I wanted to have happen. And I would daydream about them like with everything in me before bed. And I would daydream all the time, like not just before bed, but like if I was like on a walk or if I was driving or if I was in the shower, like I would just think so hard about things I wanted to happen. And I always thought that manifestation looked like, writing your morning pages and like sitting and meditating. And I never felt like those things really resonated with me. Like I always needed kind of like an active approach to manifestation. So To Be Magnetic, once I found that during the pandemic, I had a lot of time to really dive into those workshops. And I got like a year-long membership, which lets you access like all their different workshops. But they have one that's like Unblocked Shadow, Unblocked Money. Like you can kind of dive into specific things that you want to work on. And I was like, I have a lot to work on. So I got a membership for the year. And their approach is basically like psychotherapy meets manifestations. It's not like in the past, I had seen certain manifestation videos where like one example is this girl was like, if you want to have a positive relationship to money, you should invest in a nice wallet because that is like the house for your money. And I'm like, but I have no money. So why am I going to spend my money on a nice wallet for the money I don't have? You know what I mean? And To Be Magnetic was more like, you don't have a solid relationship with money. What limiting beliefs do you have deep down, like not even consciously, like subconsciously around why you don't think you're worthy of financial stability? And how can we peel back those layers and journal it out to like get to the bottom of it and then rewire your brain in a way that makes you feel worthy of the things you're trying to manifest? So they give you like journal prompts. And it was really interesting, actually. I was looking back at some of these old journal entries from literally like 2020, 2021. And it's so crazy to see things that I wrote down, like that I'm embodying now or that have like come true since then. Like I wrote down everything from like what I wanted to look like, how I wanted to dress, how I wanted to carry myself through the world, like what an abundant version of myself looked like. And I feel like I'm so much closer to that person that I journaled about in 2020 than I ever thought I could be. And it's only been a handful of years. And I also journaled about like relationships that felt out of alignment, like in business and friendship, where I was like, I don't, like if I'm being brutally honest in this journal right now, like this relationship doesn't feel good. And so it's interesting to like go back and be like, oh yeah, that person's not in my life anymore. And it's for the better. You know what I mean? So just like realizing how much more in alignment I am 5 years later is really fucking cool. And then the journal prompts aside, they also give you these guided meditations called deep imaginings. Now, Jake will make fun of me to this day because during that time I would be like, I'm gonna go do a deep imagining, babe. Like, don't bother me. And I would take a yoga mat and like either go in front of our fireplace or go outside, like in the sun. And I would, without fail, fall asleep every fucking time. And you guys know me. I'm literally podcasting from my bed. I'm a sleepy, sleepy bitch. Okay. But I still think they fucking worked because I would have these very dropped in before I fell asleep visuals of the kind of woman I wanted to be, or like, oh my God, To Be Magnetic is how I got into inner child stuff, which is some of the most important work I've ever done on myself, going back and parenting your inner child and the younger version of yourself, like giving her what she needed that your parents couldn't provide, and like reparenting yourself, like has been huge in sort of coming to terms with parts of my past and parts of how I was raised that I wasn't happy with and that I felt like were holding me back from stepping into my power as an adult. So to be magnetic was huge. And that and therapy side by side, like even my therapist was like, I am seeing these like radical changes in you. Like I truly turned into an optimist through manifestation. And to this day, it's like I truly believe that abundance is everywhere if you're just willing to look for it. And to be magnetic really rewired my brain in that way to notice when good things happen to me and to sort of like that idea of like I don't get stuff. Like I cannot believe how many years of my life I genuinely thought that was true because I receive cool shit every fucking day. And everyone has their own ways of manifesting and like own ways of having mantras. Like some people will make like a mantra the background on their phone or something they're trying to manifest, they'll make it their password. So every time you type in the word like money, like when you log into your MacBook, you're manifesting money. Like, everyone has their own way. So it is like trial and error figuring out what manifestation looks like for you. But saying things like, cool shit happens to me every day or every day should be fucking cool. Like truly believing that and kind of embodying that main character energy that I always talk about on Instagram and TikTok, like has made me feel like the main character of my own life. And growing up, sorry, quick tangent. Growing up, I remember my mom used to be like, Hannah, every day is not a carnival, because I wanted every day to be special. Like I wanted to wear a party dress with party shoes every day. I wanted to go do something fun. I wanted to, go to the mall. I wanted to watch a movie. Like I wanted every day to be fun. And I can understand why my mom, as a divorcee with not a lot of money, was like, okay, this is stressing me out. Like we can't make every day special. I can't afford to make every day special. But something that's been really cool to adopt as an adult is how you can make every day special without spending a ton of money, and how you can make your life feel abundant without maybe the first things that would come to mind when you think of abundance. Like I feel like I live a really abundant life, but it's like I'm not dropping $1,000 at the spa every night or every month. I'm not shopping for new clothes every day, but like I light a candle when I watch my favorite TV shows, and I make myself, my big water at night that tastes good and is fun for me to drink out of in a cute water bottle. Like there are finding manageable ways, realistic ways to feel abundant every day has been really important to my manifestation practice. So I want to share that with you too and invite you to sort of fold that into your own manifestation practice. So other things to be magnetic aside to support your manifestation journey, as I said, looking into your birth chart is really helpful. And I do recommend investing in an actual reading so that someone can explain it to you, because it can get really confusing and dense being like, Capricorn in the 9th house of belongings or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean? So having someone to sort of like break it down for you and then kind of translate it into actionable steps to feel more abundant and feel more aligned with your birth chart is really helpful. Also, human design is really cool. And it's kind of similar as far as like, it's based on like where you were born, when you were born, all that. But there's a few different human design types. There's projector, that's what I am, reflector, generator, manifesting generator. I think that's it. I think it's 4, might be 5, so forgive me. But looking into your human design chart is huge too, because it gives you even more information on what you feel when you're in alignment versus out of alignment. And having all that information kind of gives you a map for like how to pursue the things you're trying to manifest in a way that's going to feel effective and good for you. And it helps you clock into your intuition and be like, okay, wait a second. I know that my human design chart, like for me personally, says that when I'm out of alignment, I feel bitterness, and that is real. Anytime I've been like in a job that I shouldn't be in anymore, or a friendship that I shouldn't be in anymore, I have felt this, and honestly, like romantic relationships, I have felt this bitterness of like, fuck this, fuck you, I'm out. And so knowing that piece of data has helped me navigate business decisions and things since then. So like, knowledge is power with all of this. Also, I just want to say, if you're at a point right now in your life where you're feeling out of alignment and you're like, I don't even know who the fuck I am right now. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm acting like myself. I don't feel like I look like myself, but I don't know where to begin. I just want to say that is normal and real and part of the human experience. And I know, again, I've said this previously, but I do think it bears repeating. At no point in life is an angel going to come down from above and give us a certificate that's like, you did it. You are yourself. You are a perfect human. You completed the journey. Like, we're all going to change. Shit's going to happen. Hard times are going to happen. Good times are going to happen. Okay. But arming yourself with knowledge and just like knowing yourself inside and out and believing in yourself is such an important lesson and such an important thing to invest your time and energy in, so that when times do get hard, you can navigate those times in a way that is kind to yourself and that benefits you and does not sabotage you, does not get in the way of the things that you're working towards. I used to have intense imposter syndrome when things were going well, like when I would achieve something, or like when Jake and I first started dating. Oh my God, the imposter syndrome was crazy. I was like, wait, I don't do this. Like, I don't date nice people. Stability, ew, I don't know what that is. I don't understand it because of how I was raised. Off brand. And so I felt imposter syndrome. Like, as I started settling into my life with Jake and good things started happening, I felt like I was giving myself the ick. And I remember going to therapy and telling my therapist, like, crying and being like, I feel like a fucking imposter. Like, I don't feel like I deserve any of these things. I think my real self is this like feral drunk rat going out in the middle of the night, hooking up with guys who don't like me back, working these shitty jobs. I think that's who I really am. And I think that's what I really deserve. And I remember my therapist said this thing that really fucking blew my mind. She's like, I would argue the imposter is the person doing all those things, because you're sitting here crying about that person and you're getting frustrated with yourself because you are not living in a way, like, that person is not living in a way that's true to who you are. And this person that's happily dating this new guy and like gets up early in the morning and goes for walks with him and his dog and eats avocado toast and goes to bed early, like, that might be who you really are. And so getting to know myself all over again in this abundant state and making space for, yes, the feral girl who likes to party every now and then, but like allowing her to exist, but also forgiving my past self that was maybe cringe or embarrassing or not so nice to myself or others, forgiving her and thanking her for helping me come to terms with the woman I am today. Like, that was a lot of work, but it was so important and so special. So if you are living in a way right now that just feels like out of alignment, know that like this might be the self-sabotaging imposter. And when you get to a place where things are feeling good and abundant and solid, that's the realest you. Like, real you is the one that's rooting for you, is the one that is setting you up for success, is the one that's proud of you, is the one that surrounds yourself with good people and projects and relationships. Like, that is who you actually are. And that is the version of you that you deserve to meet and that you deserve to embody every day. I hope that all made sense. It's a little dense, isn't it? I hope it made sense and I hope it resonated. So manifestation practices that I do day to day. I am a very like physical person when it comes to just like kind of grounding myself. So something I'll do is when I'm feeling really abundant, usually it's in the car because, you know, everyone feels like main character energy in the car. I'll put my right hand on my heart and I'll just take a deep breath and breathe. And then that moment, usually like the right song is playing, the window's down a little bit, and I'm just feeling really good about my life. So just a hand on the heart and a deep breath. It sounds so fucking obvious, like duh, but it really helps ground me in the present moment. And it's just a moment of gratitude. And I feel like gratitude is like the first step towards abundance, because there is always going to be someone who has that thing you want in this life. There's always going to be someone richer, more successful, hotter, younger, whatever matters to you. There's always going to be someone who has something you want. And there's always going to be something that you're working towards. You know, it's like as you achieve something, the goalpost moves, because as human beings, we're like, okay, cool. Like, I did that thing. What's next? So putting your hand on your heart and taking a deep breath and just breathing in that moment and being like, right now, I'm feeling good. Right now, I'm feeling grateful has been huge in just grounding me in that abundant energy. Also, in that same vein of like manifestation practices I do in the car, I will let my mind wander. Oh my God. Daydreams forever. I love daydreaming. I think about everything I want to have happen. I think about everywhere I'm going to go. I think about the outfits I'm going to wear. I get specific. And there is such thing as a specific manifester, which is like you get down into the nitty-gritty details, and more of a non-specific manifester, which is like You kind of tap into like, how does it feel when I think about that thing? How would I feel if I had this thing in my life that I'm trying to manifest? And you can dive into that more with To Be Magnetic or whatever manifestation journey you go on, because you do figure out what works best for you the more you do it. But I love just like letting my mind wander and thinking about the things I want, because it really does ignite something in me. Like I already have that thing. And I like to think that if something is on your mind and if something is on your heart, it's because a future version of yourself already has it. It's like you're having a That's So Raven moment and you're looking into the future and you're like, oh my God, that's going to be so cool when I get that thing. Because it's like, it's coming to me, like fucking duh. Taking note of abundance as much as you can, I kind of touched on this earlier, but more specifically, is huge because it puts you in this abundance mindset. Drink every time I say abundance, please. It puts you in this mindset of like, good things happen to me, good things happen for me. I'm receiving things all the time. So examples of this, a good parking spot, a parking spot with money left in the meter, a surprise discount on something that you weren't expecting, someone getting your coffee, a nice interaction with a stranger, just taking note of those things and finding the gratitude in them and not letting them pass you by, being like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so great that that happened to me. I am so lucky. I'm so abundant. Really helps. And you will be shocked once you start noticing it. Oh my God. Every day is going to feel like a carnival. Every day is going to feel so exciting. It honestly becomes like this little game of like, oh my gosh, abundance right there. Oh, I found it. I found it today. Like it's like your whole life feels like a fun like Easter egg hunt. And also pay it forward. Like treat someone in your life to something. Like I love Venmoing my friends like out of nowhere and being like, it's Friday. You deserve a coffee. Be a good tipper. Be kind. Look people in the eye. Walk through the world in a way that your younger self would be proud of. Take a minute to be like, what adult did my younger self need? And how can I act in a way that they would be proud of? And something that really makes me feel like that girl is when I just walk around being super nice and friendly. And I know that it's like coming from the girl who literally tore West Wilson apart on the internet last week. That might, sound like bullshit, but it's true. I think we live in a really scary world, especially right now. And I think having those little moments that are just genuine and kind with someone that you don't know, that like so many people like, take for granted, like taking a moment to look someone in the eye and be like, hi, how's your day going? It's changed my outlook. It's made me into an optimist even more. It just reminds you that like humanity still exists. So like be nice to people, pay it forward, do it for no fucking reason other than it's nice to spread goodness in this world. And I really do believe what you put out there is what you get back. Another thing is just saying things out loud. So sometimes like I will be on a walk with Jake and I'll say like, oh my gosh, I'm making $100,000 a year. I sold this movie. How cool is that? And you just say it in conversation with someone you know and trust in a way that is so matter of fact. And I kind of touched on this in a previous episode, but saying it out loud as if it's happening. Like, I make this much money. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for our trip to London. I'm so excited. I loved that I got to buy us business tickets. Like, we're flying business class to London. That is so cool. And you will notice how it changes your body language. And also, you'll notice if when you say those things, you give yourself the ick, you might have some work to do in that area. Like, why do I feel disingenuous when I say that? Why do I feel like that's such bullshit to believe that that's something that could happen to me? And then that points you to an area where you might need to do some meditating, some journaling, some whatever to dive into like what it would take for you to feel like you are worthy of those things you want. Because if you're saying them out loud, you want them. Also, surround yourself, oh my God, with people who make you feel fucking cool and cutting out people who make you feel like the seventh grader who wasn't invited to the sleepover. You guys, if I had a dime for how many people I used to hang out with because I thought that they were really cool on paper and they checked off some boxes that I wanted to check off and I thought they were cool for X, Y, and Z reasons, but they treated me like shit. Or we just didn't vibe. Like sometimes it's not even that deep. Sometimes it's just like I was forcing a friendship with people that I didn't authentically connect with. Oh my God. I'm not going to say I wasted time because again, it's all just like building blocks to become who I am now and it's all lessons, but like surround yourself with people who make you feel really fucking cool. Now, this does not mean that you need to surround yourself with only yes people or enablers. If you're going through a hard time and you're like, actually, like, I need people who are going to hold me accountable, that's fine. But there's a way to hold someone accountable in a way that is loving and supportive and present versus shitting on you, not inviting you to things when you bring up something that you want to have happen or something that you're trying to manifest or something that you're looking forward to, you know who's like, that is so amazing. I'm so excited for you to do that thing versus, oh, really? That's cute. Like, you fucking know. Trust yourself, okay? Surround yourself with people who are jazzed about the things you're jazzed about, who are like happy when you are happy, who are rooting for you all the fucking time, even at your worst. My best friends, the ones who have withstood the previous versions of Hannah that I'm not the most proud of, they fucking loved me then when I was a mess, when I was a toxic mess. And did I have a good reason? Because my mom died? Sure. Doesn't mean I was easy to be around. Doesn't mean I was easy to be around. And there were people who still always believed that I had a good heart at the end of the day, that I was doing the best that I could with the tools I had at the time, and who supported me no matter what. And those are the people that you deserve to be surrounded with. If someone's making you second guess yourself, making you paranoid, making you feel unworthy of the things you want, fuck them. Next. Thank you, drive through. We're done. We're done. And as scary as it can be and as painful as it can be to walk away from a friendship that isn't working, I promise you, the pain is so much more temporary than you even realize. Like, you are creating space for so much more aligned friendships. Or if it's a job, you're creating space for a more aligned job. Like, when you get to the other side of that fear, the universe like literally hears that and is like, okay, so you do love yourself. Good. You're ready to receive. Good. You cleared some space. You believe that you're worthy of better relationships, better business opportunities. Here you go. You will be shocked. But you have to be brave enough to make the boundaries and be like, I'm walking away from this, even if it's scary, even if the next thing has not fully presented itself to me yet. You're building that trust muscle with the universe of like, I trust that every time I pick myself and my own self-worth, that you're going to be there for me, you're going to support me, you're going to have my back, and you're going to give me that thing that I've been working for. And it's not just like I'm going to sit on my ass and watch Netflix and the universe is going to give me whatever I want. It's aligned action. It's aligned action. It's being solid in your worth and taking aligned action from there so that you and the universe can co-create together to make your manifestations come true. And by the way, if you do start doing To Be Magnetic, you're going to hear a lot of this verbiage. So you might be like, oh my God, Hannah already said that. But I'm telling you, the way they put it just like makes so much sense. Also, if you start doing To Be Magnetic and you're like, is this a cult? You can do it by yourself. I did it in a very solitary way. Like, the community aspect felt like a little much for me personally. So I preferred to do the work on my own. But it's, you know, you could do it with a bestie, have an accountability buddy or something like that. I wasn't really interested in like the message boards on the internet of being like, I'm going to tell strangers on the internet my trauma and we're going to manifest together. That wasn't for me, but it helps for some people. So to each their own. I would so accidentally join a cult, you guys, by the way. But then I would get kicked out because I would keep asking everyone if they were mad at me. Practicing gratitude. Already kind of touched on this earlier, but focus on what is going right, which is much easier to do when things are going well, okay? We can all be honest about that. When things are going right, you're like, oh my God, my hair looks good. Oh my God, I'm dating this cool person. Oh my God, I'm working this cool job. And then when shit hits the fan, you're like, what is there to be grateful for? And I get in these moods where, oh my God, instead of focusing on what's going right, I focus on everything that's going wrong. And it is a laundry list of everything from me to my family to the world at large and how everything's fucked. You can't really manifest from that place. You can't stay there for long. Of course, we're all human. We're going to have our days, okay? That's okay. But try not to stay in that place. Give yourself like a finite amount of time. Like, okay, I have today to be really fucking pissed or sad or upset about this, whatever, like this job I didn't get or, you know, whatever. But don't stay in that place of scarcity. Try your best to be like, okay, I got dumped. Well, I have this cute top that I'm going to wear out tonight with my friends. Now I have more time for myself. Now, you know what, maybe I got dumped, but oh, that relationship actually like really stressed me out. And now I get to focus on my peace. Like, there's always something positive that you can glean. Now, obviously, like, not always. Like, when someone dies, that's different. But you know what I mean, okay? Okay. I'm not talking about like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I'm talking about like day-to-day like inconveniences. Like, you could be like, oh my God, like if you're running late to work or if traffic's bad, you could easily be like, oh my God, this traffic is terrible. Today's so fucking annoying. I'm having the worst day ever. You could also alternatively be like, okay, I'm in traffic. I have been saving this podcast episode for when I have a good swath of time, and I get to be alone in my car right now, and my kid's at preschool. So I actually have this quiet moment to myself. I have a little bit of extra me time today. I'm going to listen to this podcast episode that I like, and I'm going to drink this Starbucks that I got, and I'm going to just reframe this as like me time. Like those kinds of reframes are the more you get used to checking yourself and forcing yourself to do them, the more abundant you'll feel. Meditation, as I said earlier, I always thought that it was very much about like stillness, and maybe there's something to be said for that. That's never resonated with me. So finding meditation practices that work for you is important. So like that can be walking, it can be daydreaming in the car, it can be talking to yourself out loud, like I said, listening to music your highest self would listen to. It can be visualization. One of my favorite visualization exercises that was kind of a result of inner child work that I came up with was like sometimes if I'm feeling really down, as I'm falling asleep, I did this a lot in the pandemic. I think about taking my younger self to dinner, like my 5th grade self, and sitting across from her. It kind of reminds me of the Bruce Willis movie, The Kid, with Spencer Breslin. Ugh, I'm going to cry right now just thinking about it. Sitting across from my younger self and having her ask me questions like, so where do we live right now? What do we do for work? Like, what's my life like? And as I start listing things for her, I always feel so proud of myself where I'm like, damn, like if my 5th grade self knew that I lived in a Spanish style home with a cute dog, a cute cat, and a nice husband in Los Angeles, and I was at the age of 33 still pursuing acting, that I had this podcast, that I was doing stand-up, that I wrote my first screenplay, that I put it all out there, she would be like, that is fucking cool as hell. That is, wait, we've been in a movie? She wouldn't be like, oh, well, you only had 4 lines. She'd be like, we were in a movie? That is fucking crazy. So when in doubt, revisit your younger self, take her to dinner, and just hear her gas you up. Because I know that wherever you are at in life, she would be proud of you for something. I promise. And the last thing is when you fix how you feel on the inside and you truly believe you're worthy of the life you want, it makes it easier to become the person you want to be on the outside. Trigger warning, I'm going to talk about my ED for a little bit, but I was raised in a household where we talked about looks a lot and weight a lot. Okay. And my parents, love and light to both of them, kind of like made me believe that being beautiful was kind of all that mattered, or was like a big part of like how to be worthy of like goodness and kindness. And as a result, I grew into someone who really needed external validation to feel good, especially from men. And the older I get and the more of this work I've done, the more I realized, like in college, I was at my thinnest. I wasn't really eating. I was living off like Special K bars and Diet Coke and like Smirnoff Ice. And I was at my thinnest. And I always thought in high school when I was chubby that if I could just be skinny, that I would be happy and that I would feel good about myself. And when I was at my thinnest, I was the most miserable I had ever been. It got in the way of my friendships. It got in the way of my ability to be present in my life and have a good time and make memories. And what's interesting now about this phase of my life I'm in is that I've cleaned house. The relationships that are left are really solid and really healthy for me. Jake and I have done a lot of work in therapy and with our individual selves to be in the place that we're in now. And I feel really hot and good about myself. But it wasn't until I got to the bottom of all this shit going on inside of me and I peeled back all these layers of why I felt like I wasn't worthy of the things that I wanted and why I didn't feel like I could take up space emotionally the way I wanted, that it wasn't until I got to the bottom of all those things that I was able to become the woman who like eats healthy because it's fun for me, who enjoys cooking, who goes on walks, who goes to Orange Theory, who gets up early, who wears outfits that I feel cool in. Like I wasn't able to fix anything on the outside and genuinely feel good about it until I felt good about the inside. And there's an argument to be made for like, do your makeup and do your hair, you'll feel better. Like, sure. But like there was deeper stuff that had to happen first before I could move through the world in a way that felt like my highest best self. And again, it's always going to be a work in progress. It's always going to shift and change. And we're always going to have to go back to old things, triggers, and unpack new things and whatever. But my biggest piece of advice is like start with the inner stuff and the outside stuff will just figure itself out. I promise you. And like you will be shocked once you come to terms with like why you don't feel worthy of the things you want and you start to feel worthy of the things you want, how much easier it is to behave in a way that feels aligned with that highest version of yourself. This is the first time in my life that I'm eating healthy and I'm exercising in a way that is not rooted in punishment or scarcity or like, if you don't do this, you're a piece of shit. It's rooted in, this feels good for me. This makes me feel good. This is fun for me. I nerd out about this stuff. I enjoy myself. I feel happy. When you come from that abundant place, everything else things just sort of start to click. I can't explain it. But if you're starting your manifestation journey today and you're not feeling so great, fake it till you make it. And just remember that at the end of the day, none of us fucking know what we're doing, okay? None of us. No one. That person in the boardroom that talks over everyone, they don't fucking know what they're doing. That person with more experience than you in your job, okay, they still know what they're doing. They're probably just like really good at faking it sometimes. Fake it till you make it. None of us know what we're doing. If you want to be that girl, pretend to be that girl and see how it goes. How does she dress? What are her friends like? How does she spend her time? What does she care about? Tap into that almost like an alter ego. Like Lady Gaga, Stephanie Germanotta has Lady Gaga. Beyonce has Sasha Fierce. Come up with an alter ego for yourself if you're first starting with all of this and just be like, what does she do? If someone's a dick to her, what does she say? Does she reply? Does she walk away? Tap into that higher version of yourself as if they're almost like an avatar and just fake it till you make it. And then before you know it, those two people, because that avatar doesn't come from nowhere, that is a version of yourself that already exists, they're going to start like eclipsing each other. And before you know it, you'll be like, wait, that's right, I am that girl. How could I have ever forgotten? How could my childhood bully have planted a seed 30 years ago that I wasn't that girl? Because fuck her, yes, I am, and I always have been, period. Okay? You've been the main character. You are the main character. You deserve to feel like the main character, okay? You are that girl. I'm here to remind you right here, right now that you are that girl. And I can't wait for you to realize it because that's what you deserve. That's what you're worthy of. I hope that was helpful. That is the manifestation episode. I am also more than happy to have Lexi Wilson on to talk about astrology. I could have a manifestation expert on. Like, I am being choosy with my guests because I don't want to have people on just to have them on. But things like that, obviously, you can tell I'm very passionate about it. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, please DM me and let me know. I have my own vision for this show. And also, because two things can be true at once, I am so open to feedback. I'm so open to this being collaborative. And I want to have people on that y'all are jazzed to listen to. So I hope this was helpful. And thank you so much for listening and happy manifesting. If you love the show, leave me a rating and a review on iTunes. It really helps and it really means a lot. Share this episode with a friend. If you feel so inclined, leave me a comment on Spotify, leave me a comment on YouTube. Subscribe, follow me at Hannah Aaron Brown on all platforms. That's HANNAHAARONBROWN. And thank you so much for listening, y'all. I hope you have a gorgeous rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.